Story short number 57. The sky was a sheet of gray steel. Rain pounded against the car's roof like bullets. Wind screamed past the windows and blew huge trees over nearly to the ground. Jimena huddled in her tiny car. Her heart was beating fast. Mama begged her not to drive. She said there was a tornado warning and it wasn't safe. Jimena hadn't listened. She wanted to get back to her apartment. She was sure she would be able to make it home before the storm hit. Jimena had been wrong. By the time she heard the emergency signal on the radio telling listeners to take cover, Jimena was in the middle of nowhere, halfway between her parents' farm and the city. There wasn't a house for miles, just flat green farmland. She pulled over to the side of the road. The wind shook the car and the rain made it impossible to see more than a few feet in front of her. The best thing to do now was keep calm and wait for the storm to pass. She covered her face with her hands and tried to keep her breathing steady. She couldn't afford to panic. Jimena moved her hands just in time to see a huge piece of metal flying at the windshield. She heard the crunch of glass. She screamed. Then everything went dark. When Jimena opened her eyes, the storm was over. The piece of metal had smashed through the windshield. It was even pushing into her cheek, but she wasn't bleeding and nothing hurt. She looked at herself in the rearview mirror and was surprised to see there wasn't a single scratch on her. Jimena wiggled out of the car and stood by the side of the road. She heard the sound of police cars and fire trucks approaching. Firefighters jumped off their truck and tore at the door of the car, cutting it open with the jaws of life. "Stop!" Jimena shouted. "You don't have to do that. I'm right here. Everything's fine. Look, I don't even have a cut." The firefighters ignored her and just kept cutting into the car. An ambulance had arrived. EMTs ran towards the car with medical kits. "Stop!" Jimena said again. "I'm fine. You don't have to do that." The EMTs ran past her so close they nearly ran into her. They didn't even look at her or turn when she yelled. She watched as the firefighters pried the door from the car. She was shocked by what she saw. There in the driver's seat was a girl who looked just like her, with a piece of metal driven through her face. The girl's eyes were lifeless. The firefighters and EMTs turned away. "Nothing we can do for her," said one of the firefighters sadly. "I know her parents. They live up the road a ways on that farm near the highway. Let me be the one to tell them." "I guess she's lucky in a way," said one of the EMTs. "It would have happened so fast she wouldn't have even known what hit her."